Hey everyone, Christian here from CK Wraps. So today we have a 2016 Camaro in for a full wrap. We're doing this in Vivid Plus Nardo Gray or Gloss Elephant Gray, whatever you want to call it. It's a lighter shade of gray and this is it right here. So we know this is a true Vivid product because it says Vivid on the back. If I can get the vacuum paper off, 1 second. So that reminds me right now, I can talk about removing the film from the vacuum paper. It's always a little bit easier to peel the film off of the paper rather than peel the paper off of the film. But we have a clear adhesive on this. So this is a really nice product. We're gonna find out just how well it works. We haven't used the gloss version yet. We've done this in matte metallic black, and that's about it. So this is the second one, and I'm gonna let you know how it goes as far as the install is. We're gonna do the hood very first on this vehicle right here. What I've done here is we've washed the whole car, clay ragged the entire surface. That way there's no contaminants, there's no tree sap, bugs, that kind of stuff that wouldn't come off with just normal soap and water and a sponge. The clay rag helps a lot, or you can use a clay bar. It doesn't take a lot of effort. We just kind of do it as we're washing the car. Now with a little soap and water that's already on the car. Helps a lot. This is actually extremely smooth surface right now. It doesn't feel rough at all. And that'll help with adhesion and not showing any imperfections in the film itself. So I'm just going to give this a quick blow off with the compressor, which is right here. And I'm going to show you how we cut this panel to size as well, because I haven't actually cut this piece yet. All right. I already did that a couple of times. So what I'm going to do is, we can actually put this on the vehicle itself, not a big deal. As long as we're resting it gently, we won't be doing any damage to the car. So I can already tell that the hood is probably wider than 60 inches. If not, it's really close. But the length is a lot less than 60 inches. We actually have a good 8 to 10 inches left over in the front and a couple on top, so we'll be fine. So we're gonna run it across this way. Now, if you're running into a directional film, what you want to do is run the roof basically the same way as what I would do. I mean, that's going to be up to your own discretion how you want to do it, because it won't go with the rear quarter panels, but it will flow with the hood and probably the trunk. So no matter what, the hood isn't on a directional film, the hood isn't really going to go with either the bumper or the fender. So one way or the other, it's going to be off. So really doesn't matter that much. This is not a directional film. This is just regular gloss gray. So we're just going to take it and roll it out slowly. I'm going to rest it here and I'm going to get some magnets down on this side. So this hood is actually not magnetic. So we got to stick it to the quarter panel. I'm leaving roughly 3 to 4 inches or so overlap. And when we come down here, once I get the film beyond where I need it, which I know that line is somewhere right here, I can kind of draw a ghost line with my finger. You can take your scissors or your snitty. I'm going to use my blade. I'm going to hold the film up and not cut anything. Keep that straight. Perfect. Let's get this piece out of the way. Now, hood wraps are not a terribly long process. Most of the time, there aren't any vents and stuff like that, or things that you have to remove. Sometimes there are washer jets. On this one, the washer jets are just behind the hood and at the bottom of the windshield. Same with a lot of newer cars nowadays. So we'll just put that over to the side. And we're going to get our magnets down over here, making sure that everything is positioned to where we need it. So I have about the same amount of excess film on that side as I do this side. We're good on the top. And what I want to do is probably, it's pretty close here. So I'm going to take it and leave it just like this, because we have about 4 inches here. And leaving this square, it might actually help with you getting it glassed out, as opposed to rounding it off. So I'm just going to leave it completely square. So we're going to start peeling the sticker side off of the backing paper, not the backing paper off of the sticker side. It's much easier that way. What I want to do is get some of this up and under, about as far as you can reach. Some of us are taller than others. I'm tall, so I can go a little bit further. So this film, I'm actually really excited to see how it goes. It feels great so far. See, if we don't roll the backing paper, we can tear it, which I just did there, but that's not a big deal because it's underneath, it's away from the hood. So we just got to get it rolling again. Let's get that out of the way. All right. So as we come around, we're going to get that magnet off, come around here, get this magnet off, and draw it out just like that. We'll get our backing paper out of the way, that way we're not going to trip or slip on it. We're going to glass this out a little bit more, and then we're going to start laying the hood. So that came off really easily. We're glassing out the hood. As you can see, I'm pulling out this way and this way on an angle. So super repositionable actually. This is really nice film. Like I'm not doing much here. You can just see there's not an aggressive tack to it. So we're going to hinge it. I'm going to hinge it somewhere around the middle. We're going to find out how well the air release works. Seems to be going well. With an application like this, we can use some soap and water because I find the buffer doesn't glide that well on a gloss finish. Or even better, I'm going to use some quick wax spray. You can use kind of any quick detail or quick wax spray, that'll do the job. Now, it glides much easier, okay? So keep in mind of how I'm squeegeeing the air. My squeegee is always on an angle. We're gonna come down here. We're gonna work this out. So as with any other film, if the edges are tight, it will trap air. That's the same with 3M, Avery, whatever you're going to use, Hexus, Orcal, doesn't matter. All right. We need to draw this a little bit more this way because we have the wrinkles, the fingers are running down right now, and that's no good because if we pull down, they don't go away. If we pull this way, they go away, okay? So we need to kind of contour the film a little bit more out this way, and then we can start drawing the wrinkles out without an issue. So let's see, I have the wrinkles running this way right now, which is good. Now I can come back down here. Okay. So I just keep my hand under it a little bit so I can elevate it from the edge. That way the air releases a lot faster. And that's when you're working quickly, so that'll help a lot. So. Just get those bubbles out. There we go. Release the air from this side. The air release is there to help you. It's not there to do all the work for you. You still have to put in a little bit of work. It's not much. As you can see, I'm just gently doing this and I haven't used any heat. Okay. So, you know me, I'm not really a fan of bridging gaps and recesses. I always like to lay in. So, 3M training will train you to bridge every gap and recess, and then just use a lot of primer 94, which is pretty terrible stuff. We've already talked about this in another video. So we're gonna do this without bridging the gap. We're gonna lay it in. All right, that means that we don't have to use any adhesive promoters because this is just it's just falling into its place. You can see that I'm squeegeeing out these wrinkles really easily. I'm adding a little tension to the film, but I am allowing it to fall as I go. Basically, when we're cutting all these wrinkles out, when we're squeegeeing them, we're slicing them, okay? Look at the angle of my squeegee. I'm not running my squeegee like this. If we run our squeegee like this, that's gonna happen, okay? That's not good. We don't want that to happen. So, if we cut the film just like this, then we don't run into that problem. My overlap is I'm leaving about ½ an inch or so on the old where I've squeegeed already, and the rest of the squeegee is going on the new part of the film where we haven't squeegeed yet. So I'm gonna add a little more of that. If you really want to know what it is, it's McGuire's. I'm sure someone's gonna ask me. But anything will do. It's not mandatory you use McGuire's. Okay, so I'm just adding tension. And I'm working this area first because that's glassed over there, so it's actually really flat. We're gonna keep everything in line. So we can triangle this out this way now. And get all that done. I'm near the edge. Look, see how I'm cutting that air right out of there. Okay. Now, just gonna glass that a little bit more. There we go. So by overlapping the strokes of the squeegee, we're ensuring that we're not getting any air, we're not leaving any air behind also. So again, here's your other triangle over here. When you come down, there's a bit of an edge that drops off here. And you can see, even with the shape of the hood, I haven't touched a heat gun at all. We don't use heat guns to get the job, to do the job for us. We use heat guns to assist us when we're having a little bit of issues and the film needs to be conformed a little bit more than what we can do pulling without adding any heat. So you're always going to want to try to pull the film without adding any heat. All right, so get some of that done there. Let's go back up here. I'm going to let the air out at the top, right there, and I'm going to reach. We can go back and forth a little bit. That just helps. All right, so we're going to lift this up. We can bridge this gap. Don't get me wrong. This is not that deep of a recess. We can do it. But good practice is that we don't do it. I don't care what the 3M says. Just do it so that it's going to last without adding any adhesive promoter. If we're confident in our install, we don't have to worry about it not lasting when we do it like this. So I've created all that slack in there. I just got a wrinkle, so I'm gonna have to add a bit of heat, which kind of sucks. It's fine. Let me grab the heat gun. All right. So we got a little wrinkle right there. Can you see that? Can you see it in the camera? Right here. So that's a wrinkle right there. Yeah, it kind of shows up. It's really hard to get on a phone camera, but it's there. I'm gonna heat it just a little bit. Get the heat gun to warm up. All right. All right, now that's gone. So I don't want the film to lose too much shape, so I'm not gonna pull on it very hard. I just wanted to heat it to shrink that back and get that wrinkle out of there. Again, letting the film drop into that recess. That's kind of what happens. You can get a wrinkle like that if you go a little too quickly, where you have a little bit too much friction, and you're not reading the wrinkles properly. All right, so this is going well over here. You don't even need to triangle this. This is glassed all the way. It worked out a little bit differently on this side than it did that side for whatever reason. But when you tend to switch sides, sometimes things like that happens. It may not be the same one way as it was the other. And I'm just lifting a little bit so that we can let that air out a lot easier. There's the edge. We got to finish off a bit of the front here. So all in all, I'd say the air release and the film itself works great. It's not aggressive at all. It's really easy to use, which is going to make it a lot easier for me on this Camaro front bumper, because you can see it right there, and that thing is not all that fun. But we're going to do that, I believe, in one piece. All right, so now that we've done all that, what we need to do is trim off the excess. So I have my wrap glove here. All right, I'm gonna go over it and make all these edges nice and smooth before we do any trimming. The hood is all the way down, so what I can do is just run the blade on the back of this edge, and that'll create a nice, perfect cut all the way down. It's gonna be a bit different when we get around to this part, because the blade is gonna be floating a bit. So we're gonna have to be a little more steady with our hand. I'm gonna come around here. We get some tension off of there. This is really the only time that I'll use heat, unless we're doing a bumper, a mirror, a door handle for the most part, maybe a trunk. But your doors and your quarter panels and stuff like that, we really shouldn't be using a lot of heat. All right, so I have the film tucked underneath. And what I do when I run my fingers here, I try to keep my fingers very consistent, so that that line on the back stays very consistent. That way when we open the hood, in case you can see what we folded over, we don't see an inconsistent line on the backside. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the back of my blade, start roughly in the middle, keep a little tension on the film, and just run the back of my blade on the back edge here. I'm only in maybe 1/8 of an inch as far as the vinyl goes in, which is totally fine. When I get to the corner here, I'm going to leave a little excess, because what I'm going to do is, to make these corners really nice, we're going to pre-stretch them and then shrink them around. Right, so let me move over to the other side quickly and then get that done. So keep a little tension right here, back of the blade on the back side, okay? Very gently, let the blade do the work for you. Okay, again, I'm going to come out a couple of inches before the end. Get that out of the way. I'm going to go over it with heat, as always, and just get any excess tucked around if there is any. Perfect. So now, what I'm going to do is, when I start on these areas here, I don't start from the outside and come in. I start from a bit on the inside and then come out. And that's going to help. You're just going to be careful when you're pushing down. We're going to find that sweet spot. Just be gentle. We don't need to be aggressive, okay? Come out like that. So now I left enough to fold around my corner so I can do a really nice corner afterwards. I'm going to show you how to do that. So again, back of the blade, I'm only about 1 click out. We don't want to cut too deep, because otherwise we'll start cutting into the fender in the bottom, okay? So I'm just using the fender as a guide. Once I get to the part where the fender ends, I'm going to come out again. And keep in mind, we have the headlight under there, so try not to cut the headlight. I'll do the other side right now. Same thing, start on the inside, and then come out. Okay. I'm just going to switch sides with you here. So again, back of the blade on the fender. This cut will be very straight, okay? Because we have a guide. So again, I'm at the end of the fender. We're going to come out. Be careful not to cut yourself. Get that out of the way. Now, I have so much excess film here. What I'm going to do is trim off a whole bunch of it. I only need to leave a few inches. So what I do is I'll pull up on the film as I'm pulling against the blade. That way, we're not pushing down and cutting into anything. Okay, that's out of the way. We have a lot less excess film now, makes it a lot easier. I need to pop the hood. We're going to come back to those two corners in a moment. And I'm going to show you how to do them. I'm going to finish this part off first. Let's find the hood latch. There it is. Alright. So we're going to add heat and conform this around. We'll start around the middle, soften it a bit. You want to make sure you're leaving a decent amount for the hood for the most part. Hoods and trunks, because people are going to be grabbing these edges when they pop the hood and open the hood. So over time, that could take a toll on it. Now there's a pinch weld under here. And usually we're going to cut kind of right on that pinch weld. If I don't work the film a little bit at a time, I'll end up folding it over itself, which I kind of just did, but it's an easy fix. So we're going to work it a little bit at a time. You see how long this takes, right? This This is also another important reason to have a wrap glove. I'm not going over this in one swoop. I'm going over this in many passes with my thumb or my finger. I'm going to push this down a little bit because I don't want any wrinkles there to show up. All right. And now we're going to trim off the excess. Right here, you'll see it's a little bit inconsistent, but that is the metal itself. That's that metal right there. So it just looks really inconsistent right here. I have no idea why it's like that. That's the car manufacturer, not you or I. All right, so let's trim this off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this back kind of to the edge of where I push it down with my finger. And so we don't cut on the paint, we're going to keep the film elevated. So you may want to start on this side first if you're a lefty, or I'm going to start on this side because I'm a right. So I'm going to keep the film elevated. Back of the blade, again on this edge, there is no digging of the blade tip into the paint, okay? I want to make that clear. You don't want to do that. And that is how, unfortunately, a lot of training programs will teach you how to do it. You can use knifeless tape if you're really that concerned. Knifeless tape will be a slow process, especially when you're doing an entire car. So we try and keep this line as straight as possible, okay? People don't want to see it looking all wonky when they open the hood. So you can see I'm just taking my time. Perfect. That's off. So we've got a nice even line all the way down. I'm going to go over it with a bit of heat. We don't need to post heat the hell out of this thing. We're just warming up and kind of sealing those edges. Again, finish these off. I make a few passes. And around the corner here, we're gonna add a little more heat and then work it a little bit slower, that's all. And kind of push in to keep those wrinkles away. All right. So now, when it comes to here, I'm gonna show you the bit of pre-stretch that we're gonna do. I'm gonna add a touch of heat just to make it a little bit more pliable. Bring it around the corner, okay? Now, you can see that it's already wrapping itself around the corner. That's perfect, this is exactly what you want. We're gonna add a little more heat. It's gonna shrink itself. Boom, we got a perfect corner. All we have to do is trim the excess off on the back side of that corner. As soon as we trim off the excess on the back side of the corner, we're not gonna leave a lot of film on the back side of that corner. Look, there's a huge piece hanging on the back, but you just can't even see it. Once I put the hood down, I'm gonna trim it, and then you'll be able to see how nice that corner looks. So again, I'm gonna follow suit on this side. I'm gonna add just a touch of heat, about an inch or so in. We don't wanna stretch it too much. It might add discoloration. Perfect. So, that corner's done. I'm gonna put the hood down so you can see, and just so we can double check, making sure that those corners look pretty. I'll push the hood down all the way so everything lines up. All right, so you can see that that is gonna look really nice as soon as I cut this off. So let me grab this piece. This is in my way. And we're gonna trim off the film on the back side. That's it. Okay, I'm gonna trim off the rest over here because I left excess. Perfect. Add a bit of heat, finish it off. Perfect. That's how you do a nice corner. that corner is gonna last because we shrunk that film around the corner. Even though we added a little bit of heat, we're not killing the stretch on it. We're just stretching it enough so that we can then allow it to shrink back around the corner. Same deal. I take my blade and run it right on the bottom. Super close, guys. Like, I'm not leaving any excess film on the back side of that corner. We don't want to leave too much. Any excess film is just gonna make it a lot harder to do a really pretty corner. There are other parts of the car that are going to be a little bit less accessible as far as getting at these corners goes. Perfect. You can have a look at that guy right there. And it looks great. I'll even show you a little bit more underneath. All right. Let it focus. All right, that's just a bit of the metal there. It does conform around the metal, but that corner, see that we were on the underside there, and the metal's that's not consistent metal, so it does kind of look a little weird, but that corner itself on the exterior looks perfect, and that's how the car manufacturer made it. When they made the car, they made the metal perfect on one side. So then when we wrap the film around it, it's going to get a little inconsistent underneath, but that's not a big deal because we don't look underneath. As long as your lines are straight, everything will look good once we pop the hood. So that is how we do the hood in Vivid's new Plus, Premium Plus film. We're gonna do a lot of this car. We got a whole bunch of cars coming out. We're gonna do a lot of this car, door handles, mirrors. The mirrors are gonna be a one of a kind. I haven't done these yet, so they look extremely difficult, but we're gonna have fun with those. And some of the other panels are kind of the same. Front bumper is going to be tricky, but I'm going to show you guys how to do all that, all right? So if you want to see more videos, please hit subscribe. We got a lot more coming up, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Also, check out our Instagram at CKRads. Thanks, everyone. Take care.